Hello guys, it's Nikhil Roby Coleman. I'm here with Tempo Finances, and on this channel, we teach you guys how to get rid of debt and how to build true wealth. If you're somebody that's having financial hardships, if you're somebody that's having trouble getting rid of debt, auto loans, student loans, personal loans, credit card debt, mortgage loans, you have come to the right place. We teach you guys at Tempo Banking how to get rid of your debt fast, quickly, without wasting money on interest and without wasting time. So if you're facing financial hardships, you should look at this video and you should pay attention. Today, I'm going to talk about the difference between traditional banking and tempo banking. Some people call it velocity banking, but here we call it tempo banking. So this is a flow chart that I will be going over of basically giving you a visual concept of how everything works. So first thing first, in order to build real wealth, in order to get rich or become wealthy, first thing we have to do before we do anything is get rid of the debts that we have, if we have any debts. If we have any debts, we have to get rid of those debts as soon as possible, ASAP, in order to build true wealth. You cannot build true wealth if you got loans that's lingering, if you have to pay other people for different situations or circumstances. You have to get free of those type of things before you even get to the point of where you're trying to build wealth and become financially free. A lot of people on the internet, they are teaching you guys how to get rich, how to get wealthy. Me, I have to teach you guys. I'm like a nursery. I'm showing you guys how to get rid of your current debts, your current things that's holding you back, your hardships, in order to get you to what all the gurus are saying, how to get rich, basically. Now you can finally go into that stage of your life. But a lot of people, the problem is a lot of people are trying to skip over the storm, skip over the bad part, and just go straight to the good part. And that's why everybody having a lot of pitfalls, and that's why everybody is falling back, or falling back into the same cycle of being unsuccessful, or getting their feelings hurt, or getting their heart broken, because they're not going over the hard part. The hard part is getting over the hump of releasing yourself of your debts that you're currently in at the moment. Remember, 90% of Americans have some form of debt. Consumer debt at that. Consumer debt. That's the difference. 90% of Americans have some form of consumer debt. So with that being said, before we can even get to the part about getting rich and getting wealthy, we first have to attack what's going on currently, which is the debts that we have: auto loans, the mortgage loans, the student loans, the personal loans. We have to first get rid of those type of things, right? The credit card debt. We have to get rid of those type of things before we can save money and build wealth, right? So with that being said, let's get into this video. So in this flow chart, I will be basically talking about the functionality of tempo banking and traditional banking. So let's get into it. With traditional banking, right, it's what we've been taught from day one, right? Traditional banking, we've been taught to get a job, open up a bank account, and and the money that we get from our job, we're supposed to put it in our account, save it, pay our bills at the checking account, and whatever's left, we put it in our savings account, and then we move forward and repeat that cycle over and over and over. and we try to build wealth in that form, in that fashion. That's what we've been taught all our lives, and we think that that is the answer to becoming rich and wealthy. That's not. So let's go over how that looks. In traditional banking, you're taught to get a job, like I was saying, to get a job, right? The money that your job gives you, right? The money that your job gives you, you put it in your bank, right? You got your checking, you open up a bank account, you got your checking account, you got your savings account. You pay all of your expenses, right? You pay all of your expenses, your rent. If you I put a star beside that because that's if you have rent, if you don't have rent, if you have a mortgage, if you don't have a mortgage. You have your rent, your utilities, your subscriptions, groceries, gas, and etc. You can go on and on. Whatever you got going on as far as your living expenses for your lifestyle. Separate of your expenses, you have your debts. You might have an auto loan. You might have student loans. You might have any of those type of loans, right? And with those loans, you might have interest payments that you're paying, right? That is basically tucked inside of that. It's a part of your expenses, right? So you have your expenses and you have your debts, right? And you're paying interest payments on your debts, right? So you think that this is the way of life. So you think that this is the way of life to save money and to get rich. You think that this is the way of life to make sure that to secure, right? To secure your future and thinking that you're going to become a billionaire or a millionaire following this route. You're sadly mistaken. Now, let's talk about traditional banking, which is this flow, right? Not traditional banking, tempo banking. Let's talk about tempo banking, right? Tempo banking, like I said, a lot of people call it velocity banking. I call it tempo banking. With tempo banking, it's completely different. Tempo banking is a whole different strategy, right? First thing first is with tempo banking, you're dealing with a line of credit. A line of credit is a revolving line of credit, right? It's a revolving line of credit that allows you to attack your debts and to attack your expenses at the same time. But being able to use a line of credit as a debt weapon to attack your debt like a full on force. So hear me out. Stay with me. You have your job, right? You have your job, and then you get the income from your job. Now, this is where everything changes from, unlike traditional banking, how you pay everything throughout your checking and savings account. Not here. With tempo banking, you pay everything out of your line of credit, and you're able to pay your expenses and attack your debt. Not the payments of unlike traditional banking, you don't pay on your interest payment. We're attacking the principal of your loans. We're attacking straight principal of your loans. So we're going to go through an example to materialize this example to make everything make sense. So this is just a skeleton. This is just a skeleton of what how everything looks. So you have your line of credit. Your line of credit attacks your expenses and it attacks your debt at the same time, simultaneously. So I know what you're saying in your head, like, oh, what makes it so different? What makes it so different? So first thing first, with both situations, you need a job because a job is the only way that you can maintain a lifestyle, right? So with tempo banking, the job is very, very important. It's an important factor because that's the only way that you can maintain a line of credit. Income, right? The income gets sent to your credit union, to your line of credit. Your line of credit serves as a checking account and a savings account. That's what it serves as, and we're going to get deeper into that as well. So, first thing first, with traditional banking, is first off you have to get the line of credit. That's number one. So right here, it goes top down. In this situation, we start out right here. We start out with the line of credit account. We start off trying to get this first. That's what we work on first, right? And then after we work on that, right, we worry about our income. That's number two. So number one, we start right here with getting the line of credit. Remember, if you look at my other videos, right, to get a line of credit, you need a 600 credit score or above. And on top of that, you go to a credit union, you apply to get a personal line of credit or whatever it is, a HELOC or a BLOC, whatever it is. After that, that's when you have established your line of credit, right? With that line of credit, you might get a line of credit of 10,000, you might get a line of credit of 15,000, you might get a line of credit of 30,000, 40,000. It's different types of line of credit, different types of amounts of line of credit that you can get. So you might can get, so in this example, you might get a line of credit of $10,000, right? And that $10,000 is revolving. It's a revolving line of credit of 10,000. That's the difference between this situation and this situation. You don't have anything that's funding in traditional banking. There's nothing funding your expenses or your income. Only thing that's funding you is your job. Your job is funding your income, and your income is funding your expenses. In this situation, your job is funding your income is funding your line of credit. Your line of credit is funding your expenses and your debts. So that's the important part of tempo banking. So we got an example of $10,000 revolving. Now, let's say for instance, right? Let's say for instance, stay with me. Let's say that we had a debt, right? First thing first, let's talk about the income and expenses. Let's say you have an income of $7,000, right? So you got an income of $7,000 here, income of $7,000 here, right? Your expenses is $4,000. Expenses $4,000, right? Your expenses $4,000, right? And so I'm giving you the same example, right? I'm giving you the same example for both situations, and I'm showing you the difference. Okay, now let's say that you have a debt, right? Let's say you have a debt of $30,000. So you got a $30,000 debt with a 10% interest, right? 10% interest with a 7-year term, right? So your debt is 30K. And the payment, right? You're on an amortized loan. So this is an amortized loan. So this debt is on an amortized loan. $30,000 loan, debt, whatever it is, with 10% interest on a 7-year term. We'll just say it's a personal loan for this example. We'll just say it's a personal loan. Okay, so the payment, right? The payment for that debt on an amortized schedule is $498.04. $498.04. $498.04. Now, the playing field is even, right? The playing field is even. Now, in this example, the $498 is a part of the $4,000. It's inside of that, right? That $498.04 is somewhere inside that 4,000, including with the expenses as well. So with the expenses and this amortized monthly payment, all come up to $4,000. Same here, right? This right here is somewhere inside of that, right? So they're not separate. They're not 4,000 and this one 498.04. They're not separate. It's all tucked inside the expenses. Both of these, right? They are somewhere inside this 4,000. Okay, stay with me. Stay with me. I'm gonna erase that for the example purposes. Now, let's talk about it. Now, with a traditional banking, right? The only thing that you can do, right, is when you get your income, right? You get your income, and let me also make a note. This income is coming from your job. This is a monthly income. So we're gonna put per month. So you either getting paid, as far as for the income, you're getting paid weekly or bi-weekly. But at every month, you're getting $7,000 though. So you got your job, got your income, make both examples are making $7,000 per month. Both examples have $4,000 in expenses, and both examples have a $30,000 debt at a 10% interest rate with a 7-year term. And the payment for both of these debts are $498.04. Okay, now let's talk about traditional banking first. With traditional banking, you get your income, you put your income inside the bank, and then you pay your expenses. You pay the $4,000 every month. Every month, depending on how your expenses work. So your emergency savings, I ain't gonna put it right there. I'm gonna put it right here. Your emergency is $3,000. Your emergency savings is $3,000. So that's what you put in your savings account every single month, right? Unless anything happens. That's why it's called emergency savings. Now, mind you, if anything happens in the midst of it, all you have is $3,000 for this example. So basically, after you pay your expenses, you have $3,000 to hold you until the rest of the month, right? Until the next time you get your check or whatever like that. And so this is your savings. This is your savings account. Okay. And I'm being very generous with this example because most people don't have $3,000 left over after they pay all their bills and everything like that. If we did, a lot of people won't have to worry about that. But anyways, you have $3,000 in savings every month. So now this is how your picture is looking. So if anything happens, lo and behold, you're gonna have to go into this $3,000. You're gonna have to go into it. Either you get a flat tire, busted window, got to fix the plumbing in your house, or something happened to your car, something happened to you, you got to go to the doctor or anything like that. Immediately, you're going inside of that $3,000. Good luck with that. Now, let's talk about your debt. The only thing you can do, the whole objective is to get out of debt. You have to keep being submissive to that 498.04 every month. You ain't gonna be able to attack the principal. You can't attack the principal. This your principal. This is your interest payment. You're not attacking this. You're doing what the bank wants you to do. So you cannot attack this because you only have $3,000 in emergency savings. So you cannot attack your principal on your $30,000 debt. So that's why you always find yourself like, dang, I'm paying every month, but I feel like it ain't doing nothing for me. It ain't benefiting me. It's because you're falling victim. You're remember, this is an amortized schedule. So this 498 ain't going all towards that 30,000. Only maybe $200 is going towards the $30,000, and the rest is going to interest payments, to the interest into the bank's pocket. So I want you to keep that in mind. So only like $200 is going towards the 30,000. So you're not making no real progress, and you're doing this every single month for $30,000 on a $30,000 what you borrowed, right? And you got to do that for the next 7 years, right? So it's gonna feel like you're gonna think that you're never ever going to pay off your $30,000, right? Why should it take me 30 years to pay off? I mean, why should it take me 7 years to pay off $30,000? That's ridiculous. Like, that's ridiculous. A lot of people are okay with it because they don't know no better. So that's the predicament that you're in. You're falling victim, right? You're falling victim to the system. This is what the system wants you to do. The system wants you to keep paying that 498.04 every single month because they're winning. This is why that you're losing money. You're getting money stolen from you in interest payments, and this is why you're getting time stolen from you because you're on the amortized schedule. You're abiding by the amortized schedule rules. You're abiding to their system. You're submitting to the system, and you think that you're doing something because you're paying all your bills on time every month. But in reality, you're losing money. That's why you find yourself can't really do much, and you trying to understand like what's happening. This is what's happening to you. Okay. Now let's talk about tempo banking, right? So now with tempo banking, right? I'm gonna use the blue. With tempo banking, right? You got the line of credit for $10,000, right? And let's say we had a 12% interest on the revolving line of credit. Revolving line of credit. Remember, revolving, it never runs out, right? It never runs out. It just keep reloading. So first thing first, we get the line of credit, right? After we get the line of credit, right? Now we have $10,000. We have $10,000 revolving, and we're getting $7,000 a month, right? We got $10,000 revolving. We get $7,000 a month, right? So now that we got the $10,000, right? I can take this $10,000 and I can attack the principal of my debt immediately and still be able to pay my expenses as well out of the same line of credit. How? Check me out. Remember, we're working backwards. We got the job, right? Boom, job secured. We're getting $7,000 a month, right? First thing first that we needed though, we needed a line of credit so we can speed up the process. The line of credit is going to speed up the process, and it serves as a checking account and a savings account to pay off the debt. Unlike Tempo Banking, Tempo Banking don't allow you to pay off your debt. It only allows you to pay. Traditional bank only allows you to pay whatever your debt interest payment tells you to pay. You can't do nothing outside of that because you only have that for your emergency savings. You only got $3,000, so you can't afford to attack your principal, the principal on your debt. You can't afford it because you ain't got enough income. You need to save that income. You have to save that income as much as possible until you come into the next month to get another $7,000, and then you got to pay another $4,000, and then you gonna have a whatever $3,000. So you're gonna spend money in between that time. So ain't no telling what you're gonna end up with, depending on what happens within the month for you. In this situation, you don't have to worry about that with Tempo Banking. In Tempo Banking, soon as you get that the revolving line of credit of $10,000, immediately you can attack it. You can attack the principal of this $30,000. Immediately, just like that. Literally, just like that, you're already down. As soon as you get your line of credit, you attack the principal. You call up the person who gave you this debt. You call them up, be like, hey, I want to put $10,000 on the principal of my loan. They're gonna let you do that. Now you owe $20,000 in the blink of an eye. Now you're like, okay, Nikhil, what about the expenses? Your income is paying the expenses. That's why it's going through there, right? It's going through there. So as soon as you put that $7,000 in, right? As soon as you put that $7,000 in, now we have to separate. Now you got to stick with me now. Stick with me. The $10,000 is used, right? The $10,000 is used up into the rim. Now the $7,000 is entering into the line of credit, which is 10,000. 10,000 minus 7,000 equals 10,000 minus 7,000 equals 3,000. So now, when you put your $7,000 inside of the $10,000 line of credit, that's how much financial breathing room that you just gave yourself. You just gave yourself $7,000 of financial breathing room, right? So now, between this number and this number, you have $7,000. So now what you do is you, out of that $7,000, you pay your expenses, which is $4,000, right? So soon as the money enter the line of credit, you pay your expenses, which is $4,000. Now you just add that, and then now you're up to $7,000. And guess what? Right? Between this number and this number, you have your cash flow. This is your cash flow. So you're wondering, like right here in an emergency fund, they're like, okay, I can see my cash flow. My cash flow is in my account. In this example, your cash flow is tucked inside of the line of credit. So your cash flow is right here. This is your cash flow. So after you pay your bills, which is 4,000, your balance is at 7,000, which means between 7 and 10 is 3. You still have your same cash flow that's over here. It's the same cash flow that's over here. So your cash flow is 3,000, right? So you saying, Nikhil, but what is the difference? What is the difference? The difference is now you owe 20,000 and you just paid your expenses for the month as well. So you just killed two birds in one stone. You paid off, you paid down $10,000 on the principal of your loan, and now you're at 20 compared to traditional banking. You only paid $498 and you never touched the principal of your loan in traditional banking. That's the difference. Now you come into the next month and you do the same thing, right? Not the same, not next month. So let me slow down. I'm getting excited. So now we have to figure out, right? How long does it take to pay off $10,000 before we can attack the debt again? Mind you, while we're doing all of that, we still paying our expenses every single month. Our rent, utilities, groceries, all that, we still paying that every single month. So let me slow down. Okay, so now we get into 10,000, right? $10,000, right? Right. $10,000. We put our first month income in. Right? We put our first month income in. Right? So like I told you, we put our $7,000 in. First month income in. Now I'm showing you the math part. This is I call this the revolving process. This right here, this is the revolving process. Pay attention. You put your first month income in. Now you're at 3,000, right? So you know what I mean? I got $3,000 left of breathing room. That's how much breathing room I got. I got $3,000. I got $7,000 of breathing room, right? Anytime you see a minus in this case means gaining. A plus means minus. So just flip the sign. That's a little secret. So when you see a minus sign, that means we're gaining money. When you see a plus sign, we're losing money. Just do the opposite, right? So now we got $7,000 of room. We got $7,000 of room, financial breathing room. Now we got to pay our expenses for the month. Our expenses, 4,000. Remember, treat a plus like a negative and treat a negative like a plus. So when you put 4,000 in, when we pay for 4,000, that means we spent 4,000, which is our expenses. Now we're at 7,000. That is our balance. So that's the expenses, right? That's the expenses for month number one, right? Expense for month number one, income for month number one, right? Now we figure out the average daily balance, right? Average daily balance. I'm just go ahead and do it. That's $49.31, right? So that's the interest. That's the interest that you paid for using up for the first month of using the $10,000, which is $49.31. It's really nothing. So now we're right here, right? So we're at $7,049.31. That is what our balance is looking like right now, coming out of month number one. Now, coming into month number two, we're gonna do the same thing. Month number two, we're gonna take that money and we're gonna put it into our line of credit account once again. So now, right? So now we got the 7,000, right? Boom. Remember, treat the negative like a plus and treat the plus like a negative. So we have added, right? I know, treat the minus like a plus. So we have added $7,000 to our line of credit. So now that leaves us with $49.31. So 7700 is simple math, subtraction and addition. That's all we're doing, guys. Stay with me. Now that's income for month number two. That's income for month number two. Now we're going into the expenses, right? Remember, expenses is like a negative. It's like, I didn't say it is, it's like a negative. So we have to pay for our expenses, which is 4,000, right? So that brings us to $4,049.31. And then we have to do the average daily balance, which is which is $20.21, right? And then that'll bring us to $4,069.52, right? This is where we at now. So we did expenses for month number two. We did interest for month number two, right? So now we're coming into month number three. We make $7,000 a month. So we put the $7,000 in again, and we pay what is left. Now we owe nothing. And guess what just happened? That $10,000 has just reloaded again. And we did everything based off a 12% interest rate. Them interest payments are based off 12% interest rates. So now stay with me. 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 Okay. Let me show your cash flow. Let me break it down. Obviously, you see the income. Income. You see the income, right? Let's look at the expenses. Expenses. You see the expenses, which is self-explanatory. Now let me show you where your cash flow is. This is where your cash flow is. Your cash flow is right here. Your cash flow is right there, right? All the way to right here. These 2 points shows you your cash flow. I don't like that. That looks sloppy. These 2 points show you where your cash flow at. From this point to that point, show you your cash flow from month one to month two. Just like I just showed you right here, your cash flow, same right here. I just showed you your cash flow, right? So that's the difference. So basically now, after 3 months, you go back over here. After 3 months, You come back over here and you make a $10,000 chunk. Now you owe 10K. Now you owe 10K. Guess what? You still paying your expenses, right? And you still paying. Remember, this is still tucked inside of here. So we still paying the $498.04 every month. That's tucked inside. That's tucked inside, right? But what's the key thing is we are attacking the debt. We are attacking the debt after after 6 months, right? So this is a phase, right? This is what I call a phase. 3 months to pay off. Anytime the amount of time that it takes to pay off a line of credit in order for it to be revolving to use again, I call it a phase. So in this case, it takes 3 months. In this case, it takes 3 months to pay down on a $10,000 line of credit, right? So that's one phase. 3 months is one phase. In this example, some people, it might take them 4 months, 5 months for one phase to be used up in order for the line of credit to revolve again so they can use it again. In this case, we're looking at a 3-month phase. So every 3 months, we can pay on the debt, the principal of the line of credit. I mean, we could pay on the principal of the loan. So that's the difference. That's the difference between dealing with traditional banking, where now we did one phase. This is 2 phase. This is 6 months. And we already owe $10,000. Compared to over here, you still haven't. It's been 6 months. You still can't touch this. It's been 6 months and you still paying the $498.04 per month with traditional banking because you can't touch it. You can't touch your principal. You can't touch the principal on your debts because you're stuck. You're stuck with your savings. Your savings is all cash. The difference between with Tempo banking is we have a line of credit and we have our income. So we have two different funding machines. We have our income funding our line of credit, and we have our line of credit funding our debts and our expenses. And at the same time, they are working simultaneously at the same time. And that's why you're able to pay off your debt so fast. So you have your job, right? Your job income just constantly throwing money at your line of credit, right? At your line of credit. Now you got your line of credit constantly throwing money at your debts and at your expenses. And it's not stopping, it's nonstop. So you have two different income sources throwing money at each other to pay off your debts. Compared to traditional banking, the only thing you got is your income, just throwing money at your expenses. But it can't throw money at your debt because it ain't got enough money to do it. He can't take the risk. Your pockets can't take the risk. As bad as you want to pay off that $30,000, you can't. Over here, you cannot touch it. You got to continue to fall in the amortized loan schedule. You have to fall under their rules. You have to fall under their problems, and you have to deal with it. You see what's happening to you, but you don't know what to do. You don't know what to do about it. So that's the difference between traditional banking and Tempo banking. Tempo banking is allowing you to attack your debt and your expenses at the same time. This is not attacking. This is submitting. The traditional way, you're not attacking, you're submitting. You're submitting to the interest payments because you can't do nothing else. With Tempo banking, you're attacking, right? You're attacking because you're going at the principle of the loan. So you're attacking, you're constantly attacking. You're constantly attacking what's been burdening you the whole time, because you have an extra income source, which is a revolving line of credit. Your revolving line of credit is your extra income source that's going to help you. And what's keeping the engine flowing is the income you get from your job. That's keeping the engine flowing. That's keeping the gas in the car. So that's why you're able to pay off your debts. You have went from a Honda into a Lamborghini. You went from a Honda to a Porsche truck, right? Because now you are attacking your debts at 100 miles an hour while paying your expenses at the same time. I hope you guys get this. I hope you guys can grasp this concept. I know I got excited in this video, but I hope you guys can grasp this concept. I hope you guys can really catch this wave. I hope you guys can really just wrap your mind around this this concept. I just tried to basically give you a visual mind flow of how a line of credit works from like a flow chart standpoint, with a flow chart concept, and showing you how the whole situation works. And I hope you guys can just really look at this video, play it over until it can come into your mind. And I hope that you can grasp the concept and you can apply it to yourself. If you're trying to get in contact with me, contact me at www.tempofinance.org. I got my phone number on there. If you're trying to get out of debt, if you're trying to be free of your financial hardships, if you're just struggling and you want it to end and you're ready for it to end, contact me. Let's get it done. I'm here. I'm available. My whole job and purpose is to help the people and to help people get out of debt. Remember, 90% of Americans have debt, consumer debt at that. 80% of Americans are without an emergency fund, which is a line of credit. 70% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck, and only 1% of Americans actually pay off their debts. Only 1%. And over 50% of Americans die owing money to loans, owing money to banks, owing money to some type of source that has lended them cash. So 50 to 60% of people die with being in debt. That's sad. That's what I'm trying to change. 99% of Americans don't even pay off their debts. 99%. 99% of Americans don't pay off their debts. Let that sink in. So let's change that. Let's change that. Let's get rocking. Let's get rolling. Be encouraged by looking at this. Be encouraged by looking at this video, because it's a lot of people that are in these situations, but a lot of people just scared. A lot of people are afraid to face these situations because they don't know how to handle it. But that's why I'm here. That's why we're here. That's why Tempo Banking is here to help you guys. Give us the burden. Let us help you. Let us help you. Let us give you the suggestions, and you take the suggestions, right? And you apply it to your life and just watch what happens. You have nothing else to go to. You have nowhere else to go. You have nothing else to lean on, right? You have nothing else to lean on. Why not just take in this concept and just listen? It's not easy making these videos. You think I'm up here making these videos for my health? No, I'm up here because I care about you guys. And I'm getting the word out as much as possible. And I do got clients, and my clients that I do have, they listen, and they doing a wonderful job right now. A wonderful job. So let's hone in and let's get it together. If you got any questions, if you got any comments, put it down in the comment section. I'll be sure to read whatever that you have. Other than that, you guys be safe. Have a blessed day.